So, we all heard of people over profit, right? Well, I think I'm going to start practicing the opposite. Because when you try to do something out of kindness, that good deed can easily pull a 360. And here's what I mean. So, Thursday, I was out flying my drone like usual, and that's when these Syrian kids came up to me, a little across the street. And then, he's like, the older one's like, "Oh, you have a drone? That's cool." I'm like, "Yeah, it's got a camera on it, shoot 4K. He's like, "Oh, you must be rich." Nope. I just spend it responsibly. I guess not really, since it's more of an investment into myself. But anyways, I'm like, nah. He's like, "Oh, can I fly it?" I'm like, "No, it's like, why?" "Well, it's expensive, and I don't even let my own family fly it." It's like, "Oh." And he's like, "Oh, I have a drone too, you want to see?" I'm like, "Sure." So he goes inside, grabs his little drone. And he's like, "Oh, I can't fly mine." Like, "Why not?" And he's like, "Oh, well, I accidentally cut this, and I don't know what that does." I'm like, when he flipped it over, it just, like that, I knew exactly what the fuck he done. He cut the fucking antenna. He cut the fucking antenna off this thing. And I was like, "Oh, dude. Oh, that's not good." He's like, "Oh, yeah, I can't fly mine. I don't know what happened." I'm like, "You cut the antenna, dude." He's like, "Oh, what is this?" Rubbing his little finger on the antenna nub. I'm like, "That's the antenna." He's like, "What does it do?" I'm like, "That allows you to control the drone with the controller wirelessly." He's like, "Oh." I'm like, and you probably still fly it, it's just not going to be able to fly as far because you've shortened the antenna, and if you do fly it a little too far, it just might disconnect. He's like, "Oh, can you fix it?" I'm like, I don't have an antenna for that." And he's like, "Oh, well, can you fix it? You can go watch YouTube videos and learn how to fix it." Like he couldn't do that himself. But I was like, "I don't have an antenna, dude." He's like, "Oh, can you hold on to it until you get one or find one?" I'm like, "Oh, I can do that." Because, well, at that point I'm just holding on to it until I come across it, one. So I did. I ran up here and put it in a little box thing I store all my shit in, including my mugs. And an hour later that night, Thursday night, he was like, "Oh, is it done?" I'm like, I don't have an antenna for it, dude, so it's gonna take a little while, quite a bit longer than that." He's like, 45 minutes? I'm like, "Oh, no." He's like, "Tomorrow or next tomorrow?" Tomorrow or the following day. So I replied back into that, in his broken English, next tomorrow. It's easier for them not, people who doesn't have English as their first language to understand, because then you're on a one-to-one basis. So I said next tomorrow. And Yesterday I was testing my media CMS server and doing a little bit of touching up and maintenance on my website. And that's when my mother came in. She was like, do you have a kid's drone? I'm like, no. She's like, oh, well, they're waiting out there for it. I'm like, okay. And that's when it just clicked in my head. Now, an hour and a half later, after those kids, another one came, and I thought maybe it was a sibling. You know, you can't really tell what kind, whether it's an older or younger, based off of height, because, well, my brother is 3 years younger than me, and he's taller. You know, sometimes I joke around saying, well, we just gotta cut him, you know, cut his fucking legs from the knees below, make him the proper height for this family. But anyways, you know, so you can't really tell somebody, you know, their age based off their height. So I was, you know, I went out there, explained it. I'm like switching between older or younger brother, because like I said, you really can't. You just can't. Height isn't really something that can tell an age anyways. It's not like, oh, 39, 50, you know, because older people shrink, I guess. But anyways, I explained it, and he's getting a little upset, which I felt bad for. So I was about to get my little, you know, my phone that I'm recording on. I started GoFundMe for a DJI Mini 3, like mine. But then that's when shit started taking a turn for the worst. You know, it all started slowly, like, oh, can you look again? Maybe you give it away in a dream. I'm like, I mean, I could, but that's not how dreams work, my guy. I mean, dreams aren't like reliable. You know, dreams are not memories or anything. You know, dreams are only meant to like process information or whatever. I don't know exactly, but dreams. All I know is dreams don't work like that. So I'm like, yeah, like, they don't work like that. But I'll look again. But it's just not gonna change anything. So I looked again, and he's like, can I come inside and look? I'm like, no. It's like, why not? Why can't I come inside? I'm like, well, here in America, we have societal norms. And, you know, we just don't break them because, you know, you gotta respect your other fellow human beings. And he's like, why can't I come inside? I'm like, because you can't. You know, and you can't just walk into somebody's house willy-nilly. You know, you have to abide by them. That's just strict societal norms you have to abide by. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And he's like, well, okay, can you look again but do a video? I'm like, I'll look again, but I'm not doing a video. I mean, I'm not gonna show you my whole house. You know, I don't know if that's their little slick way of trying to case a home or not, but I was like, I'll look again, but a third time's not gonna really change the results of the previous two times. I'm like, again, I'll go look. Before I went inside, he's like, oh, can I pet the cats? I'm like, they're indoor cats. Like, oh, can I come in? No. So, I went inside and looked and kind of worried they would walk in because then I'd have to bash their heads in with a baseball bat because America. And, luckily they didn't. I hear blood is a bitch clean out of carpet. And, I'm like, I looked again, and, like I said, still not there. And every time I told him that, he just got disappointed, like he had dementia or Alzheimer's. It was just stupid. And then I go, can you check the whole house? Sometimes when I lose something, I check the whole house, I flip the cushions, and then, when you flip the cushions, sometimes it's just, woof. I'm like, no, not gonna check a whole house when I don't just leave my shit around. I pointed to a pile of dirt that is sitting in the handicap parking space of the apartment complex adjacent to ours, and I was like, you see that pile of dirt over there? Now, searching a whole house would be like searching that pile of dirt for a rock. It's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, that pile of dirt doesn't have rocks in it. They sieve it. They make sure there's no rocks. So it would be like looking for a rock in a pile of dirt where there are no rocks. But I'm like, I'll check my room, I'll do a little video of where I had it, but be warned, you're not going to be impressed. And so I did record a little area where I stored it. Before I showed them, like I said, this is probably the least impressive video you're ever going to see. And it's just this 10-second clip of me, going down from the top to bottom, up and down. And then he got all disappointed all over again. And then he went to his house. I guess he's consulting his mother. And that's when he came out and was like, my mother said that you had to give... I'm like, no. Here's the thing. That ain't how this works, okay? I mean, y'all already have an idea who it is, because I gave, them in the description of how he's a little taller than the older one, but have the same hair as the younger one, haircut. And then, he was like, well, how do I know you don't have it inside? How do I know? I'm like, well, I told you. Just because somebody tells you the truth doesn't make it a lie. It just means you're having a hard time believing the truth, and I'm sorry about that, but I'm like, will we have cameras? I'm like, no, you don't, because I don't. It's like, well, there are cameras around here. I'm like, yeah, and guess what? The police ain't gonna do shit. I mean, first off, if they did capture something, it's gonna back my story. And second off, if if the cameras really did pick up something, they would have picked up people slashing my mother and brother's tires. He's like, well, well, how do I know? I'm like, look, just go, okay? Because you're clearly not getting it. It's not getting through your thick skull. So you just gotta go. He's like, what? I'm like, no, just go before I call the cops. And your ass gets 86 and you'll never be able to come here ever again. And that goes for both apartment complexes, because they have little friends in the apartment across the parking lot. Like, and that would go for both, because you're not getting it, not interested in the drama, so just go. And he was like, no, no, you are leaving. Get the fuck out of here now, or I will have your stupid ass 86'd. And he started walking away, looking behind him, and I'm like, and you dare send a parent over, I'll fucking come out with a baseball bat. So there was no parent because, well, who's going to send a parent? Well, more realistically, who is going to go fight their child battle over the fact that they can't grasp the reality, and accept the truth. I mean, like, the way the kid was going, it's like me trying to convince you all I'm black, okay? That's how stupid it was. Like, it's like me saying, yo, what's up, y'all? Yeah, here from the hood, ooh. Like, y'all aren't gonna fucking buy that shit. I mean, y'all ain't gonna take that shit if I were paying you $100 so it's just stupid, because I just wanted to help these little fucking shits, because if y'all see my other videos, specifically the ones with me flying the drone, and maybe some other ones too, where I walk around at night or whatever, but anyways, you kind of notice that the neighborhood I'm living in isn't one that somebody who isn't living paycheck to paycheck would be living at. This is a low income-ish neighborhood. We got these, all these apartment complexes on my street, and then another street over, there are more apartment complex, and there's even the Motel 6, the Motel 6 that was converted into affordable housing units. So, right off the bat, everyone who had seen the whole thing would know that I was just doing a good deed out of the kindness of my heart. People over profit type shit. Because kids don't have money. Their parents do. But no, they don't. And when you go on about how your mommy said this, that, like, I don't give a fuck what you say your mommy said, because she ain't saying it herself, so it could be anything you say. You could be saying anything putting words in your mother's mouth. And there would be no way for me to confirm it unless I go over there, knock on the door, which I'm not going to do. That's just fucking weird. So, yep, I'll probably never, ever do a good deed for people like that ever again, because when you try the whole people over profit thing and it bites in the ass, it's kind of a turn off. You know, it's like going to a nightclub and hooking up with what you thought was a beautiful woman, and it turns out it was just some dude dressed, you know, wearing a dress. You know, you're going to have a wee for a little while until you get home. You know, you're gonna be all horned up until you get home, and then see that, you know, Wanda was actually a Rodney the whole time. So, I guess the moral of the story, you know, if you don't really say how many siblings you have, like normal people do, like, oh well. Like when you ask, oh, who's the oldest, you know, and there's 3 people, you know, you're asking about the 3 people. You're not asking about, oh, who's the oldest, and that extends to, like, oh, their house or their extended families or whatever. That's not how it works. Like, when I ask who's the oldest, I mean, like any other normal person in that group. You know, and if you don't go on and say, oh, well, I'm the oldest here, but, you know, I'm a middle child or whatever's below the oldest, but above the second to youngest, if there's 4 children or whatever, an odd number, you know, that's that, you know, but none of that happens, so, you know, like I said, I was going to create a whole little fundraiser for them to get them a DJI Mini 3, but not after that. I can't reward bad behavior. Their parents are already doing that enough, you know, like, I see them playing in the streets at like 10, 11, 12, 1 o'clock at night. You know, and it's just stupid because they just terrorize the neighborhood and parents don't do shit. You know, they even set the rocks on fire, and then the little what's it called, Syrian mother came out with a watering dish or a dish and just, you know, full of water and put it out. Like, you're not gonna beat your child with a fucking sandal. Anyways, this video is a lot longer than I intended, but anyways, moral of the story, if you're going to do any kind of deed, make sure it is not a free, you know, deed, because those will bite you in the ass, you know, and honest mistakes turn into terrorist attacks, I guess.